Greetings and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 video for Kill Team. Today I'm going to talk about the problem with grenades. Wait. Oh, there's a new Balance Dataslate. Today I'm talking about the new Balance Dataslate for Kill Team. Does it change stuff? Does it fix the game? Does it do nothing? I'll go over it and we'll find out together. But before getting into things, please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of the video and the Balance Dataslate as a whole. Are you happy with it? Are you not? And generally any feedback you want as well. And please remember I've got a Discord you can check out in the episode description below, as well as a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. Well, without further ado, let's get on with the video. So yeah, I mean, I've literally just come back and there's a new Balance Dataslate. So this is an interesting thing. My contacts on the inside saying it was going to be delayed for some reason. I'm glad they were wrong. But there's a lot of rumors going around on that, and I was like, the excuses they were giving sounded reasonable, but we'll see. But I'll go into that now, and yeah, we'll go for it. There's not a lot of changes, but I'll bring it up now, and then I don't think there's any new FAQs dropping as well. But I'll go through what the changes are and if it does actually anything for the game. Okay, yeah, so I just recorded the video. This is Charles and I'm editing it in now. I didn't know they did an article for this. So, okay. So I like that they're posting the win rates, right? So, you know, you've seen my May stats.
Are we recording?
Yeah, I am recording. This is live. I'm editing this in.
Great.
I didn't even...
Hello, Internet.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. It's fine. It's fine. I don't know how they got this, especially Corsair Voice Guard.
So this is stats that they've curated from around the world for May.
Yes.
Because apparently April their stats were a bit wonky for things like Corsairs, Void Dancers having like 80, 60 or 80% win rates.
Yeah,
sorry,
it's 68. They were new, so no one knows how to play against them.
So they've curated some stats from May.
This is a live reaction from me. So they are, as I said, 45 to 55% is the ideal. Corsair were on 57. Void Dancer Troupe were on 57. No, it was like, yeah, so the only difference is my stats, we don't include tournaments with less than 8 players because it gets very weird. So but we're using the same thing. So our stats are basically identical apart from Void Dancer Troupe, who were 1% more, and Corsair, who were 2% less. So there's some marginal errors there.
But it's amazing how they've just lumped Compendium into one thing.
Yeah. Corsair Void Guard.
But me and Itan were doing a bit of talking about earlier.
So they were talking about so they were picked less, so they're not including how many games there were from. So that's the only thing missing from this. So in my stats, I include the actual representation. So basically, Corsair Void Guard had a 57% win rate, same as Void Dancer Troupe, but Void Dancer Troupe had double the amount of games. So Void Guard had about 75, and Void Guard Troupe had about 150. So this is good they're doing that. They're hitting grenades. Actually, they had a 72% win rate in April, but that's fine. They said 68% April Fools, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so this is good. Yeah. It's very interesting. So this is a live edit into the video.
Yes.
Which, if you hadn't tried to jump ahead with the video, you might have had this information.
So the problem that I have with these numbers, okay, is that they're looking at the May win percentage, which is fine, whatever, but they're construing that data out to the entire quarter.
Yeah, so this is the problem. You can't use a month to balance the entire game.
Exactly. And they literally say that, in April, they were on a 68% win rate Void Dancer, but we're just chalking that down to the fact that they were new. So,
you know,
in
effect,
funny? They're just
it's funny
forgetting all their own data.
I know the June win rate for Void Dancer Troupe, and it's not 57%. So... this is the funny thing. So, like, the odd thing is novitiates dodging being hits, because novitiates have been, like, I'm not saying, like, oh, they only hit Pathfinders. It's like, as I covered in the video, novitiates should be...
Their main stats...
You just tone down the... what do you call it? So, in the last week of May, novitiates took, like, they tanked a lot of events. Before, like, for the last 3 weeks of May, they won, like, a 63%, and then they just messed up in the last week and brought it down.
Yeah, but they can use the same argument that, people didn't know how to play with them, and now they know how to play with them.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same argument.
But the biggest problem, as you said, it's using May 1 month to balance the whole game.
Yes, rather than a quarter.
The biggest problem is, as someone who has seen the June results so far, it's weird.
Yeah, but again, you can only kind of really comment on things after the time has gone. So.
Well, yeah, because it's fun. So what's contributed? So the current 2 top teams are from the win rates, what I know, are Novitiates and Void Dancer Troupe, because Novitiates won 2 tournaments in America, came 1st, 2nd, and 1st in America, and then obviously Void Dancer Troupe have come 1st, 3rd, 6th, and 10th in UK Games Expo, and then 2nd and like 9th and 10th or something in Warhammer World. So those 2 results have boosted those guys up. They've also won, like, both teams have been like destroying tournaments in June. So it's just, so it's good they're posting this. I'm obviously going to cut it down a bit because it's just 4 minutes already. Good they're doing this article. I guess the reason their stats are different is because they're including all events, whereas I'm including events like 8 or more players, because the problem is it's not just going like, oh, you've got 7 or 6 man events. You've got weird 3 and 4 man events that are going to like 3 rounds or 2 rounds, which are getting very odd results, which we ignore.
Well, I mean, realistically, I don't think that I've always said this, that those numbers shouldn't be ignored. Because you can have an event like we played at Games Workshop, which is only 3 rounds.
Oh, yeah. But the thing is...
But it was 50 guys, right? So it kind of... That skews the results way more than having a small event that has a final victory.
Yeah, but I think I really would have liked them to post the numbers as well. But that's what I do with my stats. But at least it shows that GW are paying attention to the stats. I was already aware of this. So it's good they're keeping it public. It's really nice. And I'll go back to the data slate now, which will be completely oblivious to all of this. So here we have the new Balance Dataslate, which is a much better format. You can find it in the episode description below and on the Warhammer community website under downloads. Also, look at the tabs. Don't look at the tabs. Ignore the tabs. They're not there. And they're gone. So this is collated for the Q2 update. So, we've still got the new core rule, which is you cannot basically activate more than 2 operatives in a row before your opponent. So the first big change is equipment. You can only select 1 of each equipment with the indirect special rule, e.g. Dynamite, Crack Grenade, Fusion Grenade, once per battle. If a friendly operative already comes, this counts as your selection. So, as you may have guessed from the video, I was actually going to record the problem with grenades today. So I was going to say, I think grenades are a necessary part of the game, but the biggest problem is they're too good. There's too much super conceal in the game, and you need grenades, but the thing is, grenades are just the best thing to take. I was hoping for either +1 equipment costs on all grenades, or just limiting them to 1, because I think that'd be the easiest thing to do. But if your operative came with grenades, you could still buy 1. But they've gone with the much more extreme route of limiting everything to 1 for each kind of grenade. So instead of like taking 3 crack grenades, you can now take a crack and frag. But if you have an operative that already comes with equipment, you can't. So I found that a bit rough. I mean, you can argue, well, they're getting it for free, John. But I was like, I mean, the Pathfinders don't care too much. I mean, the Blooded are like, what are we? Why are we here? Just to suffer. I like this. People probably say it's too extreme, but I think grenades were becoming a problem. It'll be a big shake-up. It might be all they need to tidy up Vet Guard, but we'll see. Hunter Clade. So they have got needed buffs. So Doctra Imperatives can be selected each turning point instead of only twice per battle. So you get more freedom on selecting your things. Ignore each Imperative's deprecation effect during the first turning point that's active for your kill team. So basically you ignore the downside for the first turn. You can take 1 additional operative, and you can include up to 3 gunner operatives, regardless of the current operative. So for some reason, if you wanted to take the giant sniper rifle, you can, but effectively you can now go like 4 assassins, 7 guys. So it's not bad. I mean, I think that's okay. I would personally, all I would have done is given them arc grenades from the narrative and let them take security. I think that's all you really needed to do. This is probably enough of a buff, but we'll see. They're a very interesting team, and maybe this is enough for them. I'm not so sure. Otherwise, Pathfinders, no changes. They're the same. Void Dancer Troupe. So, Segarax's Jest is a huge problem. The way it works is your opponent's first strike in each combat, they roll a dice, and if it's equal to or under their weapon skill value, their strike turns into a parry. And the problem is if they're injured, all of a sudden they get even harder to. So if you strike them first and charge them, and then they strike, they're like, if they're hitting on 3s, they're now hitting on 4s because they're injured, which means they need a 5 or 6 to hit you. So the way they've changed it, I thought they were going to change it to parry first. It only affects normal hits. And I'm not sure. I don't think this actually fixes Segorax's Jest. Segorax's Jest is still a huge problem. And because the thing is, unless they're lethal 5-up operatives, if they're rolling 4 dice, they have like basically a 51.3% chance to roll a crit. But you have 5 dice, so what you could do is parry out their first crit, and then you could like parry out their second and then kill them. So it's a step in the right direction, but I don't think it fixes the ploy, because most of the times it's worked. Yeah, it's been stupid when it worked on a crit, but it's been shutting down normal attacks, and like commando players or any team without mass lethal 5-up is just going to go, well, it's useless to me. Then for Sadef abilities, they said delete the 3rd bullet point from the effects of adding the 4th mark to your performance tally. So effectively, now you still get a command point for completing your Sadef, but now you no longer get an additional 1 per turning point. Don't think that's enough. Really don't think that's enough, because basically, instead of going, pop Domino Field and Prismatic Blur, I'd probably just pop Prismatic Blur. It does encourage the use of Death Masks more, and it is a nice step, but I still don't think it's enough. And we're going to get over kill teams that have somehow dodged being nerfed. Then we've got Space Marine and Grey Knights, no changes. Death Guard, no changes. Crawford, no changes. Tomb Lords, no changes. No additional army lists have been replaced. And that's pretty much it for the balanced data slate. So let me summarize it as a whole. That's pretty much it for the balanced data slate. Going over it as a whole. So they went quite lightly on the Void Dancer Troupe, which is fine. I guess they want to take it slowly first, but then they've hit grenades quite hard. Notable exceptions. There's nothing on Vet Guard and nothing on Novitiates, which is really odd for Novitiates, considering they have been a consistent problem for a long time. Since Q1, they've been really high, and they've been the kill team that's constantly been just behind Void Dancer Troupe. So, like for Vet Guard, I was expecting their spotter to lose in terms of it doesn't work behind operatives are behind heavy cover, because I thought, they've done they want to make heavy cover safe. So it's odd they've kept that for the spotter. Maybe they thought grenades were just the problem, but I thought that would have been a nice tidy up. I was also expecting them to go down to 2 gunners, which didn't help. Novitiates completely dodging everything is bizarre. Because even in Europe, they've been dominating. So I was expecting them to lose some acts of faith generation. The fact they haven't, and they've dodged being hit again, despite consistently having peaking above 60 for most of a month, only dipping down towards an end for their win rate overall, is very strange. And I'm not sure, because the devs have access to the same data I have and that I've been sharing with you. So it's very peculiar. Novitiates keep dodging, being even toned down. All I was expecting was them to instead of generating 3 acts of faith a turn, they generate 2, and the chalice is either generates 1 or 2 instead of 2 or 3. And I think that pretty much fixes that team, I think, because I've heard people go you need to limit acts of faith to once per turn, apart from the rerolls and the healing. Because the problem is they just run away with acts of faith, and it's really strange that hasn't been hit. I personally don't think that they've done enough on the Void Dancer Troupe. I think Segorax's Jest is still a big problem. Yeah, not working on crits is a slight nerf, but it's still intact. And as I said, the main problem is you strike first, you either get rid of their crit or hit them down so they're injured. And if they haven't rolled any crits, they're either parrying, their strike is turning onto a parry on a 4 or 5 up. They don't need any extra CP. I would have taken away all their extra CP. So it is really strange. I don't know. I like the grenade change. I think the grenade is going to be the most impactful change. But I'm really confused why, Vet Guard didn't get tidied up. Novitiates dodged being hit again. If I was being cynical, it's because there's certain people inside who love them in the community or saving them. And then Void Dancer Troupe, I don't know, I don't think they've been hit enough, or you just goes like, instead of spending CP on everything, I'll be a little bit more conservative. But you still get that extra CP is huge, because getting that extra CP, like I can plan stuff. So like, okay, I'm on 3 SADEF points. I know I'm going to get my 4th this turning point, so I can be a little bit crazy with my spending, because I'm going to like, I won't have murderous entrance going into the turn because I'm spending on my strategic ploys, but now I can go kill. Oh, like you've shot me. I've got my SADEF. I get a CP. Now a CP to do murderous entrance and stuff. So I'm not really a fan of that. I do like the Hunter Clade buffs. I think that's a good thing. I know people are upset that Corsair Void Scarred, well, the Void Scarred Corsairs and the Legionary didn't get any buffs or changes. But to be fair, those kill teams have been doing really well, especially for May. So I don't think they actually... I would love if the Void Scarred Corsairs could take heavy gunners and gunners, or even just an extra warrior. But from the stats, I don't think they actually need it. Maybe this will bring down the other teams, you know, a little bit more for helping them compete more. Legionary have been doing really well. Even though I would love them to have their roster restriction removed, I think they're in a really healthy spot at the moment, so they're probably fine. If I was doing a snapshot tier list and being cynical, I don't think the tier lists change too much in terms of the S tier. So I still think I'd probably put... Yeah, so it's still Novitiates, Vet Guard, Pathfinders, and what do you call it? Void Dancer Troupe. They're still the best. I would argue that Pathfinders are now the weakest out of those 4, but they're still like an S tier warband. But that's a video for another day. Vet Guard do miss now no GA2 double grenades, but they still have like their spotter who can switch stuff. Novitiates are just laughing, like they're just like, you know, they have acts of faith. They don't believe in nerfs. And then I don't think Void Dancer Troupe, it will probably bring down the Void Dancer Troupe, because what's happening is a lot of people are kind of coasting on Sega Axe's Jest and getting all that CP a turn. So it could bring them down. And, you know, I was, wrong before about Legionary and Corsair Void Scar. Just thought they weren't going to do well, but they're actually, well, I mean, I thought Corsair were going to do well, but they've both done really well. So I could be wrong here about Void Dancer Troupe. I'm just being a bit cynical here. I think they could have gone harder, but on the other side, I'm glad they didn't. As a fully narrative Harlequin Void Scar, Void Dancer Troupe player, you know, I've got my 20-man roster. I'm gonna do some diamonds as well to show how dedicated I am. But yeah, it's not much of a shake-up. As I said, we need to see how the grenades. That's the biggest change. It might help elite teams rise up more, especially the Phobos strike team, but. Yeah, we'll see. That's enough for me rambling for today. But really interesting. I'm really happy this came. I was actually worried it wouldn't, so I'm really happy it did. So top marks GW. But that's pretty much it. So yeah, please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of the Balance Dataslate as a whole, as well as the video. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Do you think it's enough? Do you don't think it's enough? Let me know. Be interested to hear. And yeah, you know, I've got a Discord you can check out in the episode description below, as well as a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. And I'll just shout out to my patrons now. So for my Adepts of the Crit, I have Theodore, Zamario, Tarun, Kenzie and Christopher, and Adzik. And then for my Veterans of the Crit, I have Samjo and Confucius. So thank you for your support. It really helps so much just in what I can do and improving. Like, I'll have some more battle reports soon. You know, we've got the new mics, and then I'm working towards new cameras. And a portable recording setup. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Overall, I'm still happy with the game. You know, my grumblings aside for the top tiers, the game's pretty healthy. Maybe this is enough. As I said, I would have just liked to see something for Novitiates and maybe Vet Guard, you know, even just because I think changing the spotter would just synergize with what they've done to other conceal ignoring effects. But I think Novitiates are the real winner here. But yeah. No, that's pretty much it. I'm going to post this video, and then I'm going to play some more Warhammer 40,000 Chaos Gate Demon Hunter, because it's like Kill Team, but with demons. So yeah, remember, until next time, no matter what the Balance Dataslate does to you, you can always roll a crit, especially if you have acts of faith.